Well, hello everybody. It's me, and you know how this works. Got to be along just a second. They actually were off watching how to train your dragon, the live edition. We're gonna get a little comment from him at some point, but of course, you know what? This is almost like what DMAC does. There's Scott now. We're gonna talk football, but now I don't know what Scott's looking at here, but I can tell you this. Yeah, you got the basketball on. Rockies just did it again. Rockies were up 6-3. It's now 6-6 in the eighth inning. They got it done a little bit earlier, but they're blowing leads left and right. So it's unbelievable how bad this team is. It really is. So they were up 6-3. Tyler Kinley comes in, and guess what? Away we go. Now there's a challenge.
If you want to end our little podcast, go hook up on DMAC. He should be about tuning in about right now.
Oh, he wanted to try to get us all to join up. Trust me. I got to tell you, so and frankly, in my mind, good news in the Indiana game. I guess we're going to do the thing where I'm maybe ahead of you, but yeah, when I left, it was a tight game, and now Indiana's starting to take control of this sucker. Are you? I want to talk some Bronco camp. I want to talk about Cale Makar, Nathan MacKinnon, although Caruso's doing Caruso things. This thing's far from over. There's a hard foul. Are you surprised Indiana's in this thing? I'm going to guess that you're going to tell me no, because I thought you told the guys that you thought Indiana would make this a series. Ooh, Caruso looks like something doesn't feel like Caruso. I don't think he's playing it up for the camera. Caruso looks like he's hurt a little bit.
Yeah, when you go down, here's what you do. You go down, because that was a hard foul in today's NBA. They'll look at this as flagrant, because he never made a play on the ball.
Oh, he got a ball, my friend, but it wasn't the one that he was going after. That's the he got a punch to the sensitive area. Yeah, the ball was definitely caught.
He got smacked in the left hand, but
he just caught it in the old nut knocker.
That's not really a play on the ball. They're liable to call that a flagrant. So we can see right here. This will be interesting. Mather just hit a big three. No, listen, I'm not surprised at all. I said I thought it was going to be a tight series anyway. Now, it's funny, that little short guy that called the foul, I can't believe they're letting him ref. He's from Indianapolis, but, you know, what do I know? No, I thought it was going to be a close game or a close series. I still think it's going to be. I said the other day I thought the Pacers would win Game 3. Now, the funny thing is, Pacers have lost every Game 3 in all three of their rounds. So here they are trying to win Game 3 right here, but at home. But I'm not surprised at all. Indiana's a good team, man. They play hard, and that crowd is fired up. They haven't had a NBA championship since Reggie Miller played, right? Or played for an NBA championship.
I was about to say, I don't think they got one, right? They haven't won one in the modern era of the franchise, right?
Yeah, I think the Pacers kind of like Denver, one of the original ABA teams that came over with the merger at the NBA, and they had them. If you could look it up, they've had some really. I mean, they had a great history ABA basketball wise. And I think they have a championship. I haven't looked, or I haven't paid attention, haven't seen enough. And I guess I'm assuming the WNBA team's out of town. But wouldn't it be cool? I guarantee you, Caitlin Clark over those WNBA, if she was in attendance, I think the cameras would be all over.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. Although we are getting the call here, so I guess we'll see what happens. We'll know soon enough. Anyway, all right. Well, I want to talk about this when this game's concluded, because watching this game has got me thinking about something in particular. But I want to see how this one turns out first. We got an 8-point game, 2:35 left to go, and we'll see. See, again, I don't know. I know what you're talking about with the flagrant. I think part of the reason why he goes down is because he gets punched in the nuts. He didn't get shoved down when they show the angle they're showing right now from above. There wasn't a shove down. He went down because he caught it in the gimblies, and that's why he went down. He wasn't shoved down.
The two hands kind of coming down hard on the back of the body and the arms. Really not much for play on the ball. And I got the sound off, so I didn't hear if they called it a flagrant or not. Yeah, they did. I figured they would. Oh, no, they didn't.
No, they're just there shooting free throws.
I
I'm
promise
sure
you,
it was one of those. While the contact was unfortunate, it was not a flagrant.
I promise you, in February that would have been a flagrant.
You might be right. Look, it's been an interesting game. They haven't given the SGA the call where he jumps into a dude and then shoots it. I was seeing that a little bit earlier. They've been trying not to let it be so physical. But there's still been some interesting stuff. Whatever, man. It's a tight game. We'll see who pulls this all off.
Two possession game with 2.5 minutes to go. This is still anybody's game. Pacers got to hold on. If they don't win it, then this may be a short series.
Well, see, I think this is a must-win for the Pacers tonight. I really do.
I agree.
Because, like you said, if they don't get it here, I'm not sure I believe they're going to get it next. Ooh, this is going to be interesting, too, because it looks like Jay Williams was the one that put that. Nope, it went off of Siakam. Okay, that'll be definitely Thunderball. Let me ask you one thing. I want to start a little bit with the Broncos, since that's the local team that's going on a little bit. Because again, I want to wait to see how this game turns out. Then I got a Nuggets question for you when it comes to this. But Q Williams, you and I have heard a lot about him. Why does this team seem to know? Is it Vance Joseph? Do we need to give Vance Joseph some credit for knowing how to pick some pass rushers, or is it George Payton? Because, dude, I'm telling you, Q Williams can rush the passer, man. Q Williams looked pretty good out there today. And I know you're an SEC guy. Was that a guy that was ever on your radar when he played at Arkansas?
No, not till late. I didn't even know he played for Arkansas. He played for Arkansas?
No, against Arkansas for Alabama.
He's the Alabama kid. No, but I've said this a million times, man. I know it sounds stupid, and I know I'm a transplant SEC guy. You know, when I went to Arkansas, it was the Southwest Conference. But now my team's in the SEC. Dude, you give me a D lineman or linebacker that played in like Alabama, LSU, Auburn, Georgia, one of them teams. To me, they're going to make a name. I'm gonna bet on the fact that they can play. You know what I'm saying? So.
Because you're facing NFL talent in that conference.
Yeah, basically. I mean, and I didn't see the numbers this year after the draft, but it's usually, the majority of draft picks are always, from conference wise. Usually the SEC has it, and go back to the Saban days. I mean, Saban was putting in every draft like, 4 or 5 first rounders, right? So, no, does it surprised me, Q Williams. What was he, 4th round?
Yeah, 4th round. I've got to remember. I meant to bring my roster down. Of course, I didn't. The other kid from the 3rd round from LSU's looked pretty good this week, too. I think Tyler talked about that. But I'm just telling you, man, Coach Sanford told me watch Q Williams yesterday, so I watched him today, and I told you guys on the radio there was a goal line period where 3 plays in a row, Scotty, he looked like Vaughn around the corner twice on like the 1st and the 3rd down. And then in the 2nd down, he stunted inside to the guard, just blew him out of the way and was right in the kitchen to Stidham.
I was watching the other day, they had on the NFL channel, and it turned out the revenge tour year of the Broncos when they played Jacksonville. And I didn't realize it, because it was a blowout at the end of the game, 42-17. But it was a 21-17 game in the middle of the 3rd quarter. I mean, it was a closer game than I remember, and I called that game, right? I always just said, "Oh, that's a blowout." But I was watching Trevor Price, one of those names no one ever talks about. But you're talking about disruption in the middle of the line. Trevor Price, that game, I'm watching, especially the 4th quarter. I mean, he was a man-child, and so. You look at where Denver is, and Denver had a great rush last year. And I know everybody's high on Benito, and I'm not off of Benito. And it'd be great if you can bring that speed of Von Miller and whatever. But he's slighter than Von Miller. He's like a nice linebacker size. So you know what? And you've got a couple of guys that had great years last year. You're going to pay everybody. Well, you better find defensive linemen, especially guys who can put some pressure up the middle, and that way it saves you from having to pay some dude in there, that you think you like a lot, $16 million, when there's another guy from Alabama. I know he's only a 4th round pick, but dude, guess what? We got him for the next year at 1.2, 1.8, 2 points, 2 million, right? It sure is a lot cheaper than if you drop 15 in the middle somewhere, isn't it?
Oh, well, there's no doubt. I mean, look, they're going to have to be smart with their money. And Marky made us a great promo, but it wasn't the total, not the total thought process of the promo where we were talking about how Bo Nix may end up being a, top 10, maybe even a top 5 guy. And then you're paying 50, 60 million. Who knows by the time he's ready to renegotiate. But the point of the conversation was, if Bo Nix, like you've kind of like the Avs are not going to have to do with Makar, and we'll talk about Makar and MacKinnon a little bit too. But kind of how they're going to have to do with, you're going to have to be smart with your money just in case Bo Nix does blow up and you've got to pay him like the Brock Purdy type money. And so to your point, you've got to have these pass rushers coming in droves because they're just as important. And you got to be able, I mean, I'd keep Nick Bonito. That's just me, especially if you could get him in like a 20 to 25, 23 million right now for a pass rusher. I think that's affordable. But I think you've got to have plans to be able to replace some of these guys because your team may get real expensive real soon. I will tell you, bringing up Bo Nix, you know what I like today, Scotty? And I'll give the credit to Sean Payton for this, dude. I've seen a lot of offensive coaches, and I think you have too. We're watching the second. They did 2 different goal line periods, the best I could tell, because they were from the 20 in, right? And in the second one, they weren't having a great start to it. And I thought Sean, like I've seen offensive coaches stop it, try it again, do it again. I feel like Hackett did that. Sean didn't stop nothing. Sean didn't stop anything, dude. And you know what? They gave him 4 downs. They won the down. They got a touchdown. They let it be a 4-down battle. You know what I mean? There was none of this, first, second down, and let's start it over. They just battled. Couple bad plays. They still got the touchdown by the time it was all said and done. So I kind of like that. And Bo hung in there. I'll tell you what, dude, though, when Bo ain't in there, that offense does not move. I kind of told you that to you guys today on the crosstalk. Pat Bryant, I thought, had a good day. Q Williams has looked good. I think Bo, I like what Bo's bringing because Bo's throwing. I can't wait for you to get out there so we can talk and
I'll see you there in August.
That's what I mean, Bo. But because that's the next time we'll all be out there. But what I do like is Bo's throwing some picks, but we're not watching just safe camp. This isn't safety camp of last year, right? Guys are actually trying to make some damn plays. So it looks a lot better. And then your guy, RJ Harvey, looks good. So there you go. There's some 5 Broncos that look good. We'll talk more about it. We're so close. I want to ask you as soon as this game's done. Looks like it's going to go in. You know what the hell with it? This game's damn near done. That might be famous last words.
Go win this thing.
So let me ask you this, okay? This whole playoff, and again, we got a 112-106 game. The Nuggets, let's say they don't make a move. Can they get better defensively without making a move? And I'm not talking the Bill Hanzlik, hold them under 100 defensive stuff that you guys battle. But look, man, the Nuggets got a little handsier. They got a little bit more in lanes. They did a few things towards the end of the year. Both these teams are buckling down and playing some damn D. I don't know what the number's up to, but at one point in the early fourth quarter when I had the sound up, Indiana had forced Oklahoma City into 18 turnovers, a playoff high for them.
Yeah.
Can the Nuggets get there without having to make major trades?
When I looked in the third quarter at one time, it was 17-5 Indy points off turnovers.
Okay.
And it's just like in game one, it's, they said, well, Indy won. They had 24 turnovers. Yeah, but Oklahoma City only got 11 points off them. That's, you want, statistically speaking, you want a point per turnover. That's what you'd like to have. If you're doing that, you're doing real good. Yeah, I thought they got better, but you know what? Listen, man.
And I'm not asking for your Pistons team, dude.
No.
But can they be better than they were at the end of the year?
The end of the year, I thought they were great.
Okay.
After the change, I thought they were pretty good. Go look
at
the last 3 regular season games, and I would say in the playoffs they were pretty good defensively, especially when you compare it to what they did in the regular season. Here's the thing, and you got to find a mix on this somehow. And I think good teams do this in the NFL. Tom Brady's team in the NFL used to do this all the time too. You got to find the way to survive your regular season, set yourself up hopefully for good seeding, but you got to survive and get through as healthy as you can. as stress free as you possibly can. And if you're killing guys that if you have a short bench, limited roster, team wise, you don't need to play those five starters averaging 36, 38 minutes a game for 75 games, right, of the 82. Now, if you play them 32 to 34, that means you're getting some. You're resting in the season. I think they'll play more zone coming up next year, and that zone will save legs. And I don't know. I think I did it on. I think I did it with us. One of our talks, we were talking about that. Somebody goes, "Joker's got to be better, challenge the three." And I go, "Dude, remember I said you don't want 7'1", 290 pounds running out the 3-point line, you know." And the same thing, if everybody's going to put you in a pick and roll, you don't want 7'1" guy for 82 games chasing and hedging all the time. And they never changed what they did on the pick and roll. And they just did that all year long. And I think that wore them out a little bit. So there's different ways they'll do it. I think they'll be better defensively. I think they'll be more creative. And I think by being more creative, they can be better. And they probably still need to get one more lockdown. Listen, when you won the championship, you had 3 lockdown guys. You had Casey. We actually had 4. You had KCP, Bruce Brown, a young Christian Brown, and Aaron Gordon. You had 4 guys, perimeter-wise, could defend you. Last year in the postseason, you had Christian Brown. That's it.
Yep.
And the reason for Aaron Gordon, he didn't have no leg. He didn't have a leg. What's he going to do? Porter hadn't defended anybody all year, and Jamal will give you some effort, but he ain't stopping nobody. So you had one guy from just 2 years ago that when you had 4. Now, hopefully Aaron Gordon gets healthy next year, and you can get back up to at least 2, and then who knows what you can add. And I know Russ was there too, but now we're finding out Russ had a torn ligament in his wrist, last third of the season in the postseason. So I don't know. Can they? And I think they're still going to have to add something. They're going to have to add some pieces. I don't know what they're going to be able to do with those pieces and who they are. But I'm excited to see, because I think the one thing you will see this year with David as the coach for an entire season, you'll see more creativity defensively.
All right. Well, I can't wait to see what that translates into. I mean, I don't know. I feel like there's a vibe they probably won't trade anybody, but we'll wait and we'll see, and then we wait to see who opts into what. And like you said, do you go to Sarich and maybe just be like, "Hey, man, how about you give a speech and we'll opt out?" And
if you're thinking Sarich will opt in, then you're hoping you put him in some sort of package with 3 or 4 guys, and he's in there to make money right, and you make that trade. So,
all right, well, still a lot of that to come. We got to get to the offseason first. Indiana did finally get the win, so I think this is at least a 6-game series would be my guess now. It'd be cool if Indiana could win it. I'd feel good for them, but I've said it before. Oklahoma City is the first team that has beaten one of my teams that I'm not like, I don't hate them to the point. Like normally I'll do anything but root for the team that beat us, period. But if Oklahoma City wins it, it doesn't bother me so much.
I tend to root for the team that knocks you out.
Right, because you feel
play. I feel like, well, let's be honest. And I know that the Pacers are up this series 2-1 now. And this series ain't over, but game 4 is going to be real interesting, to be honest with you. But other than anybody else, Denver's probably played Oklahoma City as well as anybody, though, haven't they?
Yeah, there's a small part of me that wouldn't mind Oklahoma City. I would have liked it if Oklahoma City would have just trashed them, and then Denver was the only one that game a series. But I don't think that's how it's going to go.
No, my prediction was that Indy was going to win game 3. OKC would win game 4, win game 5, and it'll be a tight game. But then they'll give it up. OKC wins in 6.
Ifs and buts are candy and nuts and all that stuff. But man, how might things have been different for the Nuggets had they been able to play the final schedule where you got a couple days off after every few games?
Well, it'd been nice, right? They had 3 days, 3 days in between games 2 and 3. That'd have been nice, but win better, you might be able to do that. To
I
my
don't know who.
Big Jeff.
Yeah, what up, Big Jeff? Now I got a buddy named Jeff that we call Pops. What's up, Mike? Loop Digga's here, all that. So there we go. By the way, your boy, who is it? Carson Beck, Jordan Beck. I don't even know who Jordan Beck. I think it is. Just botched to play for the Rockies in the outfield. So now they've got the Giants are looking to add on in their top of the ninth as they lead 7-6. So anyway, all right. I got a fun question for you, and I don't, who's more valuable? So Makar wins the Norris today, his second Norris in what, 3 years, 4 years, because he won it in 2022. Who's really if we were ranking the Avs players number one, is it MacKinnon or Makar at the top?
Well, we asked this question on our show today. Which guy would you say is more valuable to this team?
Are you asking me?
Yeah.
Frankly, right now, I think if we're talking about the guy viewed by everyone as the most unique and the top of his position, it's Makar. Am I wrong?
So I guess 100 points scored. There's no uniqueness about him.
Well, but everybody feels like McDavid's better. Nobody has a defenseman they put above Makar.
I understand it. Here's what I said. And that's a tough one for me. I think I would go with MacKinnon only for this. I think you could find a defenseman that's as good or close to Makar's ability defensively. You obviously ain't going to find a defensive scorer like him, because you got to go all the way back to Bobby Orr, who played in the 60s and 70s, right? So I mean, when you're comparing to a guy who won 8 straight, by the way, Bobby Orr won 8 straight Norris trophies, 8 in a row, the leader in the clubhouse as far as Norris trophies go, and the one guy you're comparing him is that guy. So scoring defensemen haven't been growing off the trees in the last 50 years. At this level, right? There's always been a few guys that could put some, Gerard scored a couple bit, a little bit, his first or second year. He was like showing stuff to people. But on a day in bout, so he is unique. But I don't think he's unique defensively. MacKinnon, he's not unique defensively either, but I guess you don't really need him to be. But, I mean, what he brings score-wise, man, come on now.
All right. So let's have ourselves a debate. So when Gabe Landeskog was asked about how do you replicate the Colorado Avalanche of 2022, who was the player he said you had to find?
I don't know.
Cale Makar. Go find you Cale Makar, and he laughed and said, "Good luck."
So you're saying he wants the Cale Makar that played that year, that won the MVP in the finals?
The Conn Smythe Cale Makar.
Because he hasn't been that guy?
Okay, where?
I mean, I'm trying to read what he said. Is that what he's saying?
He's saying that Makar. Now, look, did Makar have a bad playoff? Absolutely. This past year, he had a bad playoff. I also would love to know, was he hurt or not? Because he kept breaking sticks, and I thought it was weird that he kept trying to torque his stick for some reason, because I don't think things felt right. And when he did get a shot off, he was sailing the net, which was also unusual. Rockies are going to Rocky, baby. But yeah, I mean, look, I also think when Makar decides he's going to go get something done the last few years, he's the one that goes and gets it done and just breaks ankles and gets to the net and puts it in. You don't like Makar because he's not physical enough for you. Would that be it?
Nope, not at all. I don't think he's a unique defensive player. I think he's a great overall player. If you were to ask me if the question was who's your favorite of the two, I'd say Cale Makar. Not even a question mark. Not even a question who my favorite player is, if I had to choose that way. But I don't think it's a slam dunk Makar just because he won at Norris. I mean, somebody else won an MVP last year. I mean, that what weight do you put on? Best defensive guy or the best player in the league?
Well, they ended up going out. They went out at second round last year, right? How about let me ask you this too. To me, the Nuggets season we're going to regret most for them not getting farther and basically going to another finals is not this past season, but the year before we got knocked out by Minnesota. I asked Nate today with Makar winning a Norris. Last year, MacKinnon wins a Hart. To me, nobody won anything back in 21, I want to say, when they lost to Vegas. But what year do you regret the most the Avs didn't go get another cup? Because to me, I still say the year they lost to Vegas was a better team than anything they've had the last 2 years as far as being complete. They still had Burakovsky. They had Grubauer as a goalie. You know, that's better than Georgie of a couple years ago.
I don't know how good they would have been in 20. Did they win in 21 or in 22, right?
22 is when they won it. And a lot of that team was still there in 21.
I'm not sure they don't win it in 23 or at least compete for it, but you can't. Nichushkin, doing what he did in the first round kills you.
Yeah, I get it, but what was going on that you would lose to the Kraken? You know?
I don't know.
The
guy that had been one of the best players through the regular season plays a game and a half or a game. What was he out before game 3?
Did Cale get hurt was someone else hurt that year?
Well, all I remember, the whole news was Nichushkin.
No, I know that because
I'm sure somebody else was hurt. But you're asking which team was the best team and you regret. I think they had a better chance that year to win the whole thing if Nichushkin doesn't go down his path.
Well, then you know what? I guess some of your opinions, like your movie choices, just suck.
Well, I don't think you know what you're talking about. I think you said it before on this show. Whenever you talk about the Avs, you come up with, "Oh, I'm Mr. Fanboy. I'm blah, 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 blah."
No, I would tell you most of the team that set the record was still available in 21 when they lost to Vegas and they had good goaltending. Matter of fact, someone would tell you Grubauer is probably better than Darcy Kemper was. And you still had Burakovsky. You still had a deeper team. I believe you still had Kadri.
You're talking about the year before they won it.
Yes.
Well, I thought you said since then.
No. I'm just talking about of all the teams.
I have no idea. I couldn't tell you what they did in 21 or didn't.
Oh, well, all right then. Hey, okay, great. Sorry. I'll keep it to 2 years
I'll
then.
sit there and have a ball of collective tears of past failures. All I know is I think they could get a chance to go back to back if Nichushkin doesn't pull his stuff the year after.
Maybe. But Kadri was gone. Kemper is gone. Georgie was the goalie.
Kadri got hurt in 21.
No, Kadri was gone because the year you're talking about with the Kraken, Kadri wasn't there anymore.
I'm not talking about. Do you hear me say 21?
Yeah, I heard that, and I'm telling you, Kadri wasn't with the team anymore when they lost to the Kraken.
Okay, dummy. What year did they win it?
22.
Yeah, so 21's the year before 22. The year you said that you thought that was the year that they could have won another one that they should regret. And I said that season in 21 in the postseason, Kadri got hurt and missed a bunch or was suspended, one of the two. Oh, you know what? He got suspended in the series they ended up losing.
No, I want to say they beat St. Louis. All right. Anybody remember?
Can't remember now. And all of a sudden, come on.
Well, I don't know. All right, then let's not. You got it all figured out. You got no tears. You got no fan going. Then tell me, which was the Nuggets season they should regret? Oracle?
24.
Yeah. So this year?
No, this year's 20.
24,
no.
25. What are we talking? 23, 24?
Well,
the Minnesota season.
In 23, which is 22-23 season. I think 24. The year after they won it. And you lose to Minnesota in Game 7, and you're up 20 points at one time in the second half, and you lose that game. I told you even at that time, I think you beat Dallas just because of the matchups. I don't know if you're good enough to beat, Boston, but I think it'd have been a lot more interesting than it was with Dallas going there.
Yeah, I'm looking up. You had a lot of good players still in 21. All right. What are you eating? Well, I'm sure everybody loves watching you eat the podcast.
A little chicken. Listen,
what is it?
I grew up under Irvin Joe, and I didn't do a show ever with them that they didn't eat and drink.
Well, good for you. Congratulations. All right. Rockies are blowing this thing, so it's
No one cares, but you and D-Mac now. Why do you care about the Rockies doing what they're doing?
What do you care about them? What's worth talking? What should we talk about then, Grand Czar?
When we had training camp, I'll tell you what. Here's what the problem with the Rockies is. We shouldn't talk about them because until they make institutional changes, and besides firing Bud Black, I sent an article. I don't know if you saw it. I don't know if you got The Athletic. There's an article today, and it was the anonymous 100 players, Major League Baseball players. They do a poll on. And
we talked about it.
Well, so you saw the one with the, Bud Black. He never stops talking on the.
Yeah, I did. But did we read the whole article? Everybody else that hacked on him said they didn't want to be there because it's the Rockies.
Well, period. And that's what I was going to get to. And they said, but let's be honest, that's a bad organization. I think one of the last guys on the piece on the Rockies was, that's just a bad organization. It's been bad for a while.
Yeah, they're dumpster fire.
So ain't nothing going to change. I think it was, I don't know if it was that article or one I read earlier. They don't, I was in that article. They don't develop players. They have a lack of development, which we've been saying. Everything that was written in that article critical is stuff we've been saying for the last 4 or 5 years, and they haven't done anything about it. So, I'm glad D-Mac, is doing his little thing in the 8th inning. He can have another crying and screaming and be all upset stuff. That's great. I don't like to waste my time. It says in the Bible, in Matthew, I believe it is, don't cast your pearls among swine, because they ain't gonna respect it. And us trying to say, here's how you fix the Rockies. Guess who they listen? The swine at 20th and Blake.
Yeah, but to go from, I'm sorry, they don't lose. They don't lose in common fashion. It's now 10-6. They were winning this game in the 8th inning, 6-3. And it's 10-6 in the 9th. It just blows my mind. Just blows my mind. All right, let's see here.
Well, what could they have done different?
Oh, I don't know. Have someone else in the bullpen that comes in and doesn't give up 1,000 runs? I don't know, dude. I really don't. So, what could they have done different? Again, it goes back to what you should have done 5 years ago. What did I tell you in 2019? Although you weren't the one fighting me, Vic Lombardi was the one that yelled at us. In 2019, the first year of the show, we said you should trade German Marquez. You should trade Kyle Freeland. You don't have enough.
I think Sensatella was in on that conversation.
Sensatella, Gray story. You should have been trading them. You should have done what the Cubs did, what Theo Epstein did, where you trade your good players at that time to get a whole collection of young guys about the same age. We can all get on Dan O'Dowd however we want for as much as we want. And I get it. Dan O'Dowd came off pretty cocky and this and that all the time. But you know what Dan O'Dowd did at least one time during his career? He brought up an entire group of people when it was Clint Barmas and Garrett Atkins and Brad Hopp and all these dudes came up at one time ready to play their prime baseball, or at least the best part of their younger careers, at the same time together. And you had 3 or 4 pitchers that could go with them. And you get a couple other guys up next thing comes along, you get 2007. Now, was it lucky as hell? Absolutely. But You know what else goes into being lucky as hell? Having actual major league quality players. And I don't care who the manager is. You look out at the bullpen, you look out at to fill out your lineup. You don't have major league players to choose from. Dude, they're basically playing their AAA team.
Go deeper than that. Go to the AAA. Go to the AA.
Well, the AAA sucks. The AA sucks. Their short season A-ball sucks. It all sucks.
But you know what? Their business sense is great. Somebody was at the – well, you told me the other day your wife worked that game, that Sunday game. Was it the Yankees or Mets?
Mets. It was nothing but Mets fans.
She said that was the busiest time she's ever seen at Coors Field.
And it was nothing but Mets fans. But guess what else was?
And you got friends. You got crushed in that game.
I got friends that volunteer for these things. You can go work the concessions and get money for your kids' sports or music or education or whatever. So if you're a parent that needs that, and it's most of the parents I know, check into it. She works for one called Boosters. There's a couple other ones out there. There's a ton of these programs. And I got friends that work in all of them that do all these different events. But the ones that do the Rockies, it's constantly nothing. Honestly, nothing. But out-of-town fan. The Philadelphia series was packed with Philadelphia fans to the point where Schwarber called it out. He's getting his name chanted in another person's field. Whatever.
What did it look like tonight with the Giants?
There's nobody there. It's what you'd expect. It looks like a midweek. You know what? I'll tell you this. And I was watching the NBA Finals and just flipping this here and there. It basically looks like we're still in school. It looks like it's May. What is tonight? It looks like it's a school Wednesday, not a June Wednesday. So, and now there's just a handful. Is that Jim? I think Jim Armstrong's there. I think Jim Armstrong is actually, because he's got the crazy Hawaiian shirt on. I think he's behind home plate. Let's see. I swear that's Jim Armstrong. Do you know Jim Armstrong well?
Yeah.
Gosh dang it. I need the catcher. I need something. Dude, it's nothing, but they're showing a shot of Beck, and it's nothing but San Francisco hats in the background. I swear that's Jim Armstrong. I might be wrong, though. I think that's Jimmy.
So, fan-wise, you say it's an empty stadium or it's just empty?
It's empty, but the ones that are there are still mostly Giants fans. So, what are we gonna do this podcast about when this is all said and done? If you don't want to talk Rockies,
you don't listen. Now I understand why your wife hates you. You don't listen well.
You're gonna find out that I hate you. That's what you're gonna find out. You're about fixing to find out something else.
No, you better look at a different tree to go bark at.
You are the size
I didn't say I know enough. I'm just saying it's a waste of time because it's a broken record. The Rockets, and you know what? Listen to this. I'm going to tie everything up. This week, and some people, of course, took it wrong. I think Vic was one of them, but he don't listen either.
Well, then maybe you don't express yourself very well if nobody gets what you're saying.
Well, I think you did because we talked about it. I said, to me, this not training camp, what do they call them?
Mini camp.
Camps was boring.
Yeah, it was nothing but OTAs.
And you know what? That's good. Because you don't need any stories. There's no controversy going on. You don't have a brand new head coach. You don't have a young quarterback. And by the way, the young quarterback wasn't the best looking quarterback in training camp, mini camp last year at all. And yet he had a pretty good season, didn't he? So how much does that mean? This year, you retained the. I think you were number one in the NFL as far as retention of players. So that means there's not going to be a lot of position battles, and so it's a boarding camp. And it was like Sean Payton said today, they got to install, they got to do work. This training camp wasn't trying to figure out if Andy looks pretty in high heel cleats or not. This training camp was seeing, do we know how to run the 30 crush left, swing right, Bezo pass? So it's boring, and you know what? That means that's good. That means we are not in the abyss. The 8-year abyss is past us. And so that's absolutely wonderful and good. We're in abyss with the Rockies, though.
No, I'm with you, but I'm just telling you, here it is. Danny wants you to, we should talk Hallmark movies, but I don't watch Hallmark movies.
There you again. Once again. Oh, Gruff, let me sit down and have my IPA and watch the Rockies lose another one.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
I don't drink IPAs. I'm offended you think so, quite honestly. So
that surprised me a little bit. You drink foo-foo beers when you drink a beer, though, don't you?
I don't drink beers anymore.
At all?
Now, I do drink Bud Light Lime every now and again if it's hot enough, yes. So that I get, yeah, that's fine. That's fine. What are you drinking?
Water. My life has turned boring. My life has turned boring, Andy.
Well, Hunter Goodman did hit a home run, but they got a double play right before it. He could have made it a 10-9 game, but they got a double play that cleared the bases, so it's just a solo home run.
You know what's so bad?
Oh, my God.
Goodman's finally having a pretty good start to the season.
Who is?
Goodman.
Yeah, but oh, my God. Okay. Look, historically bad's fine. I'm just saying we'll talk Hallmark movies and I don't know. Tacos. Oh, wait, they got tacos. Do you do the taco special? Why isn't there a Nuggets taco special?
Well, we used to. If you score, well, bad salespeople, I guess, but it used to be if you score 110 points or something like that, you got free tacos the next day or whatever. In fact, we had the taco girl that would always yell tacos.
Oh, that's right. I remember that now. Your little producer.
And
You
then
would let her yell tacos into your headset.
and then we had a 2-year period where we were hitting 110 at home games about 80% of the time. And I think the marketing people saying, "Well, this is costing us a little bit, all these free tacos." So they went away, but they stayed with the Rockies. Hey, Taco Bell marketing, nice job. Stay with the Rockies. Of course, how many times do you have to give them stuff away compared to staying with the
Well,
Nuggets?
see, I was about to say, so what you're telling me is the Nuggets used to score 110 points a lot more often than the Rockies score 7.
Yes. That is true. Seriously, I was told that one of the reasons they went away because Taco Bell. In fact, the first year or two we did it, it was 100, and then they realized they're giving away. I think that was when George Carl came. They're like, "Well, dude, we're giving this too easy." So then they moved it to 110. They still gave away, the majority of the night, especially because it was always for home games. And no, it wasn't. It was for all the games. It was all the games. And they the year whatever year it was, they were scoring 110 points too much. And so next thing you know, you got to get 7 runs in a baseball game, which, oh, by the way, used to be impossible to do.
Not anymore.
I mean, that used to be a rarefied thing, didn't it?
Well, it did. Although the Rockies used to have, I miss the old Murderers Row, the Blake Street Bombers, all that. Like, again, if you're going to suck, if nothing else, just give me the Bombers back and ruin everyone's pitching staff and, play 15 to 10 games, I guess. I don't know. But, oh, well. All right.
Well, hold on. Is that philosophy anything different? You and I were talking about 4 years ago with the Broncos, where we said, if you're going to get beat this year, at least get beat 32-28.
4 years ago, we were begging for that 2 years ago.
Well, yeah. But you know what I'm saying? Because you and I talked about it.
We were worried about that last year.
Lose 32-28. This 13-9 stuff, this 12-10 stuff. No. I will say this. We got to do this. I don't. We were going to cut it off here in a little bit, but I would say this: what we got to talk about in the next show or two is honest evaluation of what we think they're going to do.
Who, the Broncos?
Yeah.
I don't know yet, man. Because, again, we didn't watch any. I was talking to Atwater about it today when we were out of camp, and I go, what did you guys used to do? Because I wasn't in the media then, obviously. He goes, we'd have one camp and we'd hit, and it'd be real football, if you will. I talked to Tyler about remembering there are a couple times where Mike Shanahan would get his mini camps, and, dude, the linemen would, they'd actually pad up and go. We saw one today. Here's what's crazy about this stuff, Scotty. And look, I know 1,000 guys that tell me it is better for their head, so that's good. I'm glad. But there was one where, because, again, the backup offensive linemen are not very good, dude. They just are not. And so 2 dudes got in on, I think it was Ellinger, the third string guy. 2 guys got through the line and ran into each other's defensive linemen because they both went low to try to not hit him, and they ended up smacking each other. I think one knocked the other guy's legs out from underneath him. Matter of fact, one of the dudes was DeAndre Tillman from last year, big number 92. And I was I was watching to make sure he got up okay. So there's a small part of me going, okay, so, you're trying to have a full speed rep, but you don't want to run into each other either. And it leads to, stuff like that sometimes. So I can remember Sylvester Williams wanting to fight half the whole offensive line by the end of mini camp because they were actually in pads and helmets. Again, you talked about the boring. Boring is good, but I'm just saying, I can't even tell the difference. There used to be, you could actually see a difference in an OTA to the mini camp as far as what they wore. Could they wear the uppers? Could they wear the shells? Everything now is just running around with nothing on. So, oh well, whatever. It's a new NFL. Ain't going back.
I'm looking at the news. I haven't seen news forever, but ABC had the Nuggets game. it's nice to see. I know we always try to copy whatever LA do. So, congratulations to the protesters down in Denver today. Just good job.
And with that, I guess I'll let you eat your chicken. What are you watching? Channel 7?
Well, yeah, because they had the ABC game on.
Well, enjoy your chicken. I guess we'll try to do this next week. We're going to.
Is the Rockies game over yet?
No. Yes.
I didn't even
it just went over.
I
It
didn't
literally just ended.
I could have flipped it on over and watched a little bit with you.
You could have, but you didn't, and it's all right. It's done.
Let you flip it all over, and already they won't let you go to the channel because they're done. See you later. 5-minute post game. What a rinky-dink that stuff is right there, man. Let's be honest. Come on, man.
Well, I feel bad for our guy Stout. Our guy Stout used to actually host a show and do. They don't even have a studio anymore, man. They used to actually have a studio. They don't. They literally don't have a studio. They got to just get out of there because all they can do is stay in the ballpark. Remember the Fox Sports or whatever. Remember for a while it was Fox Sports Rocky Mountain. Then it was Root. Then it was I don't even know. I guess what was it? AT&T Sportsnet. I guess this last time.
Yeah.
And now it ain't anything. So they don't have any studios. None.
Well,
no studios.
Here's the funny thing. They had a regional television network offered them millions of dollars to broadcast their games, and they turned it down, took a lesser fee to just go with what the NFL or the Major League Baseball is paying. So this is all produced by Major League Baseball.
Yeah. And that's the
skeleton crew, do the game. 5 minutes after the game's over, see you later, boom, we're going home.
You know, there was one game they went to, it was the Mets game. They went into the long rain delay on this Sunday, went to other baseball action, and then came back, and they never came back to the game. Even though the Rockies came back and finished it, they never came back and showed the end of the game. They just called it good. So there you go. So,
hey, how many of them long rain delays did you and I have to work around the Rockies game of KOA?
Dude, you know how many times I would have to go in there when I was doing the desk? Oh, the stories we could tell about some of the play-by-play guys, including Jack Corrigan, insisting he have something to go to and not have to fill time. By the way, T-Bone says Q Robinson was one of Nick Saban's last college guys. So there you go. Because you talked about how good Saban was. Well, all right, we'll do it again next week. 9 o'clock Wednesday.
When Saban had a defensive lineman or a linebacker that was available and you could get him, I'm in. Go.
What about his running backs? No.
You better be willing to wait 3 or 4 years for them to develop in the pros.
Dude, they were all hurt too. He ran the crap out of them.
Not worse than Ohio State though.
Yeah, Ohio's. We might have to look that up for next week. I'm curious. Now that you mentioned, I wonder who's had better success in the pros.
Well, Derrick Henry's still looking pretty good. Looked pretty good last year.
Yeah, but Eddie George is pretty damn good too. Once upon a time.
Who's that?
Eddie George from Ohio State. The old Tennessee Titans back from back in the day.
Let's go back to the 70s. Okay.
It's not the 70s. It was, man, you were calling Bronco games when he was playing.
Yeah, that's true.
Had Maurice Claret workout.
Well, too bad he didn't get a Tito's endorsement and NIL or something. I hear he's doing wonderful things now, though, right?
Is he? Good. Now you got me stuck. Gosh, yeah. You know what? We got to look that up because I can't remember any of the Alabama running backs' names, but I'm sure I know there's been some good ones. But Ohio State's had some good ones too. So, yeah, that's something for next week. All right. We'll talk to you later.
Yeah, see you later, Grumpy Pants. You were grumpy tonight.
No, you're grumpy.
You're grumpy.
Good night, all.